You're watching Ticket TV. Like, share, and subscribe on your way in.
All right, man. First of all, I want to say we appreciate everybody that's going to tap in as we're bringing you guys the full updates on what happened in day one of the Lil Durk federal murder for hire trial that is going on in the U.S. District Court in downtown Los Angeles before the Honorable Judge Michael W. Fitzgerald with opening statements and the start of the prosecution's case is what happened in day one. Now, we're just going to give you guys an unbiased breakdown of what happened in day one and every day of this trial so that you guys can have actually the information you guys are probably looking for on what is going on a day-to-day basis in Lil Durk's murder for hire federal trial, in which he is up against it all. In this case now, he has been accused of orchestrating the 2022 plot to kill rival rapper Quando Rondo, right? Whose real name is Taquan Bowman, as revenge for a November 2020 killing of his close friend and OTF associate King Von by the name of real name Davon Bennett. Now, by someone in Rondo's circle in Atlanta. Now, the alleged hit team stalked Quando Rondo in Los Angeles on August the 19th, 2022. Gunmen ambushed a vehicle near a mobile gas station by the Beverly Center, firing at least 18 rounds, including from a machine gun. And Quando Rondo survived, but his cousin, Lul Pab, Saviay'a Robinson, who was only 24 years old, lost his life in this incident. Now, Durk Banks, along with co-defendants DeAndre OTF DD Wilson, David Brown Eyes Lindsay, have pleaded not guilty to charges including conspiracy, stalking resulting in death, conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and related firearms counts. Now, conviction on the most serious counts carries a potential mandatory life sentence. So, separate racketeering allegations involve other incidents were severed earlier and are not a part of this trial. Jury selection occurred in the prior week, and a 16-person panel, including alternates, has been selected. Now, three alleged co-conspirators: Casey OTF Jam Hester, Kavon OTF Vonnie Grant, and Banks' former personal assistant Keith Flocka Jones, have pleaded guilty and are expected to testify for the government in this case. Now, today, or should I say in day one, the prosecution, which would be the Assistant U.S. Attorney Daniel Weiner, framed the case as a story of revenge and not about music. It's about murder. Prosecutors said that Banks was consumed with revenge, used his wealth, OTF resources, and coded language, and directed, financed the plot, including travel, vehicles, and rewards. Now, they highlighted a text from Durk Banks to Grant on August the 18th, 2022, and I quote, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me," end quote. Alleged GPS data linking a rental BMW to Durk Banks' rental home, and claimed that Banks waited for updates by his phone. Now, they showed surveillance of the shooting and the revenge title card. Cooperating witnesses, including Mr. Grant as the logistics person and Mr. Jones as the shooter, were flagged as key. Now, the defense, who is Marissa Goldberg for Durk Banks, agreed that the shooting was driven by revenge for King Von, right? She agreed that. But she blamed it on Mr. Grant and said that he was the true mastermind with the deepest personal motive. Now, Mr. Grant and Mr. Vaughn uh, were extremely close cousins. Grant managed Vaughn's finances, lived with him, shared a bank account, and was present, rushed him to the hospital after that 2020 shooting. Now, the defense argued that Mr. Grant organized everything: plane tickets, hotels, vehicles, ski masks, and bought at REI using a company card. Then shifted blame to Mr. Banks as being the quote unquote big fish. Now, to minimize his own role after his arrest, this is what they are claiming that he did. Now, Goldberg said that there is no evidence. Mrs. Goldberg said there's no evidence against Durk Banks. She claims that there's no money trail or payment. And Durk Banks was not there, not connected, and lyrics art should not be treated as confessions. The co-defendants counsel downplayed their clients' roles. Wilson was described as a mere passenger. Lindsay, with no DNA or fingerprints or text that's linked him to the case. Now, the courtroom today, Durk Banks appeared to be in good spirits, smiling with his legal team, including Drew Feinling, which is his lawyer, and others. Supporters in the gallery included his wife, India Royale, father, Dante Big Durk Banks, rapper Dreezy, actor Gianni Paolo, and surprise guest Machine Gun Kelly, who sat in the courtroom overflow area for part of the day after chatting with Durk's father. Now, supporters gathered outside afterwards with Free Durk signs and played his music. Now, witness and testimony and evidence was also presented in day one as the prosecutors called several witnesses, introduced substantial physical, digital, and surveillance evidence focused on the shooting itself and the logistics of the shooting. Now, there was a 911 call and a scene response. About that, you guys, there was a frantic witness call that was played in court today. Former Deputy Luis Calvillo described being flagged down, finding Robinson bleeding from in the Escalade, I should say, pulling him out and attempting CPR on him. Now, there was a body cam that was shown. Quando Rondo was heard screaming in that body cam video. Now, the medical examiner, Dr. Richard O., detailed the autopsy, which was 4 gunshot wounds, 1 fatal to the chest, lung, and to the heart. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. Robinson's family reacted emotionally to some video. Now, there were also detective and testimony and forensics, right? And the LAPD had a detective by the name of Samuel Marullo described the 5:30 p.m. shooting. The shell casings that were recovered, which was 16 of 10 millimeters, 2 of 9 millimeters. The black 2018 Escalade, which was Rondo's vehicle, and the secondary scene after it drove away. Now, no firearm was recovered at the scene, limited physical evidence, no Lindsay DNA fingerprints noted on cross-examination. Now, the surveillance, videos, and logistics, you guys, this was all brought up in the afternoon. That was the focus of the afternoon part. Detective Warner, Carius, and others were on that. Now, basically, there was extensive footage of 2 white vehicles, rented BMW from VEM exotics linked to Mr. Grant and Mr. Banks Circle, and a stolen Infiniti with fake plates, stalking the Escalade around LA. Hotel activity, which is the Level Hotel switch overnight, and the gas station ambush, which was 3 masked hooded shooters in an alley firing and fleeing. Convenience store patrons ducking could also be seen. Now, there was GPS data, flight records, Chicago to San Diego on August the 18th via cars linked to Durk Banks' manager and circle. Now, REI, ski masks purchased by Grant, in and out footage, post-shooting, matching the clothing, shoes of alleged participants, including Mr. Jones, Mr. Lindsay, and Mr. Hester, and photos tying people and vehicles to Durk Banks and OTF. Now, investigators identified alleged shooters partly via clothing details traced to Chicago. Now, prosecutors are expected to continue with more witnesses, including those that are cooperating, in the coming days. Now, the trial is projected to last at least 3 weeks. Pretrial rulings had already admitted certain lyrics, videos, one of them being Piss Me Off, interviews, texts, photos, and other materials, while excluding some. Now, this was primarily the formal start with the openings and foundational shootings, logistics, evidence. Now, no major rulings or testimonies from the key cooperating witnesses happened in day one, you guys. And so there was many reporters all in the courtroom covering this entire story. Now, there are 3 key cooperating witnesses from what we know so far who have, as I told y'all before, pled guilty and are expected to testify for the prosecution against Lil Durk, aka Durk Banks, in his murder for hire trial that is currently ongoing. Again, those guys are Casey Hester, OTF Jam, Kavon Grant, OTF Vonnie, and Keith Jones, Flocka. Now, these were publicly confirmed during day one's opening statements and proceedings. Now, all 3 have taken plea deals and are set to cooperate fully. So prosecutors have also referenced a broader sealed list of cooperating witnesses with names and plea details initially under seal, who are expected to describe planning, funding, recruitment, execution, and any rewards tied to the alleged plot. Other evidence being text, travel, financial records, surveillance, GPS data, etc., is meant to corroborate them. Now, the government's case is projected to take roughly 11 to 13 days. Also, the main cooperators in this case: Kavon Grant, OTF Vonnie. He was Durk Banks, described as his former personal assistant, who worked at his music management company, Astronaut Sounds, and had access to a company credit card. Prosecutors today portrayed him as the logistics coordinator who arranged guns, cars, travel, and other details on Durk Banks' behalf under the direction of Durk Banks. Now, he also pled guilty and will testify against Durk Banks. Now, the defense has heavily focused on him as the actual organizer. Also, there's Casey Hester, who goes by the name of OTF Jam, and there's long rumor that's potentially cooperative, right? Early in the case, including there was past speculation about him providing information. Now, prosecutors say that Durk Banks deployed him as one of the shooters, and he has pleaded guilty and is expected to testify against Durk Banks as well. Now, a later group text from 2023 allegedly shows Durk Banks warning others that Hester could not be trusted. It might be a quote-unquote snitch. Now, Keith Jones, Flocka, identified by prosecutors as one of the shooters outside of the Beverly Center gas station. He has pleaded guilty and is expected to testify. Now, again, there was additional things that went on in content from day one, which other original co-defendants, including DeAndre OTF DD Wilson and David Brown Eyes Lindsay, remain on trial with Durk Banks and have not pleaded. Asa Houston was also previously charged in connection with the events. Now, prosecutors may call law enforcement witnesses, records custodians, medical examiners, and others on foundational evidence as they begin doing on day one with the 911 records, the detectives, a responding deputy, and the medical examiner. Now, right? A note for you guys. One earlier cooperating witness referred to in the filings linked to more, or should I say more to other alleged incidents that were severed from this trial. He has died. That is separate from the three names that I gave you guys for this LA murder for hire case. Now, Lil Durk, his team has come out with their strategy in this case. Now, their core strategy, which has been laid out clearly in the opening statements by his attorney, Marissa Goldberg, with the support from the broader team, including Drew Feinling and others, is to shift primary responsibility on to Kavon Grant, while arguing there's no credible evidence tying Durk Banks to ordering, funding, or directing a murder for hire. Now, those key elements that was brought up in court were this. Grant, one, as being the true mastermind with the strongest personal motive, is one of the things that Durk's legal team has put out there today. The defense emphasizes that Grant's extremely close relationship with King Von and them being cousins and Grant managing Von's finances, living with him, sharing a bank account, and was present when Von was shot in 2020, rushing him to the hospital. They claim one of Von's final statements to Grant was essentially, "Why did you let me get shot? Why don't you do something?" Now, the defense argues that Grant was traumatized, floundering, and driven by personal revenge, unlike Durk Banks, who channeled grief into his art and music. They also note that Grant's alleged presence around related events including a prior 2021 attempt involving Quavon, or should I say Quando Rondo? My bad, you guys. I was thinking about something else. So basically, they also painted Grant as the big fish scapegoat and the deal maker. So when authorities executed a search warrant and arrested Grant, he allegedly realized his only way out was to minimize his role and hand over a higher profile target. Now, defense claims investigators pressed for a big fish and Grant used Durk Banks, the celebrity with access to company cars, as a quote unquote insurance policy. Now, they say that Grant booked the flights, hotels, vehicles, and brought back the black ski masks from, or he bought them at REI. So they're saying he used the company card and later pointed at Durk Banks. Now, Goldberg, the lawyer, argued that there's no evidence against Durk Banks and that he had nothing to do with it. He was not present and was not connected at all. Now, there was also put out there by Durk's team that there was no money trail and no murder for hire payment. Now, central attack is that this is framed as a murder for hire where nobody gets paid. The defense is saying that there's no evidence that Durk offered or delivered a bounty reward, and they said if you want to follow the money, you're not going to be able to. They contrast this with the prosecution's claims about OTF funds, credit cards linked to banks, circle, and promised rewards. So basically, they challenge the evidence and the context of it, right? So text messages and communications, they're going to be attacked by Durk's team as being taken out of context. Durk is being portrayed as not a true leader whom others necessarily obeyed and as someone focused on uplifting others, providing opportunities rather than directing violence. Now, also, they're saying that the lyrics, videos, one of them being "Pissed Me Off," in the interviews are defended as art performance and emotional expression about the loss, including King Von, not literal confessions or evidence of intent. Now, Durk's defense has previously fought broader efforts to portray OTF as a criminal enterprise. Now, also, you've had celebrity attacks on cooperators, right? Or, excuse me, credibility attacks. I'm thinking about celebrities because Machine Gun Kelly was up there in the courthouse today, but yeah, credibility attacks on the cooperators. So basically, you can expect Durk's team, from what it seems like, to cross when they get on cross examination on the motives of the plea deal, witnesses, leniency, self preservation, and minimizing their own roles. The defense has signaled that they will question truthfulness and incentives in this case. And also, there are other points that they're going to bring up is that Durk was living and performing in that area for legitimate reasons. claims of him fleeing the country, they're going to dispute that. Framed instead as travel for space amid an investigation he had not yet been charged in. And co-defendants counsel are running complementary, I should say, arguments. So, Wilson as essentially a passenger unaware of the full plan, Lindsay with no DNA, fingerprints, or text or direct links. So overall, Dirk's his defense teams, uh, you know, they accept that the 2022 shooting was revenge for King Von's death, but they insist that it was Grant, not Banks, Lil Durk, who organized and drove it. Now, they aim to create reasonable doubt by highlighting the lack of direct proof of Dirk's involvement, the self-interested nature of the cooperators, and the absence of a clear payment, and the artistic nature of any music evidence. Now, the trial is ongoing, so the strategy can evolve with testimony and cross-examination during this trial, right? And so, basically, the prosecution strategy is centering on portraying Lil Durk as the architect, the financier, and director of a premeditated revenge murder for hire plot. Now, the U.S. District Attorney, the Assistant U.S. District Attorney, I should say, Daniel Weiner, he led opening statements, and again, he framed it as a story of revenge, talking about it's not music, and they went to stalk, hunt, and kill the guy. Now, also, right, their plan relies heavily on cooperating witnesses, the guys I told y'all about, right? So these witnesses are expected in this trial to detail the planning, recruitment via intermediaries, funding, execution, and promise cash rewards, or rewards such as cash and other benefits, such as features in music videos and things like that. So their accounts are to be corroborated by independent evidence, is what the prosecution is going to try to show. And the government anticipates defense attacks on their credibility due to plea deals, leniency incentives and things like that, you guys. And they're prepared to respond by emphasizing the requirement that they testify truthfully as a part of their agreements. Now, also, the prosecution's plan is to bring forth corroborating evidence, digital, financial, and surveillance evidence, meaning text messages of Durk Banks allegedly telling Grant, don't book no flights under no names involved with me. Now, the GPS data from a rental BMW allegedly traveling to Banks' rental home, flight hotel rental records, and credit card transactions linked to Durk Banks' circle manager REI ski mask purchases, extensive surveillance footage of stalking vehicles, meaning they rented a BMW and stole an Infiniti, following the victims, the gas station ambush, and 18 plus rounds fired, including uh, machine gun that allegedly was involved, post shooting movements, right? The in and out, 911 calls, body cam, shell cases, medical examiner testimony on Robinson's wounds and photos, social media time, people to Durk Banks and OTF, lyrics in the music videos, interviews, including an interview with DJ Academics they're talking about, and a podcast clip that are going to be used to show motive and intent to avenge King Von and culture of retaliation, while arguing that this is not just about music, or it's not just music, I should say. So, they also want to get a narrative of leadership and control. Like, they're trying to push that Durk Banks is the wealthy leader of OTF, an alleged criminal subgroup who bankrolled the operation, waited for updates by phone and, at a rental home, and later allegedly tried to flee the country. Now, the plot is presented as both revenge and reward, with the group traveling frantically with little more than the clothes on their backs after learning that Rondo was in LA. Now, also, uh, you know, although the racketeering charges involving other incidents were severed, the prosecution still emphasizes that OTF dynamics, relationships, and patterns of violence rewards to explain how, why, and why I should say the Los Angeles events occurred. Now, pretrial rulings largely favored admitting key evidence, meaning lyrics, videos, text messages, etc. Prosecutors began implementing this on day one by calling foundational witnesses, as I told you guys, right? So there's no exact number on the total of witnesses they're going to have testify in this case, right? Prosecutors have sealed the witness list that includes multiple cooperating witnesses. Now, the three that were named that I gave you guys and are expected to testify, there, I mean, we already know, but there are others that remain under seal, which is crazy about this case. So their case presentation is estimated to going to be 11 to 13 court days. So agreements on routine evidentiary records, foundational custodians could remove 8 to 10 names from the witness roster entirely. So it implies that the list initially was longer, and that streamlining this case is more possible. So yeah, man, in day one, man, they featured 4 witnesses focused on the shooting itself, and you can expect a mix of law enforcement personnel, records custodians, technical experts, GPS, financial surveillance, the medical examiner, and key cooperators coming forward in this case, man. Right? So this trial, they're expecting this to last, at least 3 weeks, potentially longer, depending on cross examinations, motions, other factors that could go into the case. And so, yeah, you guys, man, the government, they're seeking convictions on, all counts against Durk and his co-defendants. So the most serious charges were, including the conspiracy to commit murder for hire, resulting in death, stalking resulting in death, and related firearms, machine gun counts carry a potential mandatory life sentence in federal prison if convicted. The prosecutors had described evidence as showing that Durk allegedly ordered the violence, used intermediaries, and promised rewards, positioning a guilty verdict as holding the alleged ringleader accountable for a daylight ambush that killed an unintended victim. Right? So they're not pursuing a death penalty. Right? So, man, their strategy, you guys, is leaning on a combination of insider testimony plus strong cooperating records and footage rather than just a single piece of direct smoking gun evidence of Durk Banks personally pulling a trigger or making an on-camera confession. This is wild, you guys. So we'll see. Durk is denying this, and we'll see how this plays out in court. But that was day one. This is all that happened in day one, and we're gonna see how this goes forward. So you guys definitely let me know what y'all think. Like, share, and subscribe, man.
Hey, we always appreciate the support, and if you guys want to do so, you can use the Cash App or PayPal links. They'll be in the description box below this video or pinned at the top of the comments. The top donators will be announced every month. All right, you guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure y'all cop the merch, and make sure that you get the weight loss formula. The links to that will be in the description box below this video. Check out our next video coming up right now.